Hello and welcome back from our 1 week hiatus on the Canaz podcast. I believe this will be episode number 5.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm pumped to joining us here today. So Celso is back with us here today. Welcome back, Celso.
Thank you.
Today we'll be talking about 5 topics. First, we'll touch base on the Canadian women's national team. Their celebration tour kicked off Saturday the 23rd. And then we're going to go to the NBA season. That also kicked off on Tuesday the 19th, so that was a pretty big deal there. We'll touch base on the NFL, which we haven't had a chance to talk about too much recently. MLB is next. The postseason World Series is starting on the 26th, I believe is what that day of the week is, a Tuesday. And lastly, we'll talk about the NHL. This week's midweek episodes, we're going to really go in depth on the NHL and the Eastern and Western Conferences. So for this podcast, we're just going to, do a little bit of a brief overview and just talk about what we've missed over the last 2 weeks. So starting off with the Canadian women's national team. So most of you know, whoever listens to the podcast should know in regards to the Canadian women's national team winning gold over the summer at the Tokyo Olympics. I'm not going to stop talking about that because it is still one of the greatest moments of my life. So with that, Team Canada, Soccer Canada, is rightfully so, honestly, decided to do a celebration tour across all of Canada to celebrate our women for winning the gold. Did you know that Canadian women's national team hasn't played in Canada since 2019, since their World Cup qualifying match?
No, I did not know that.
It's pretty nuts. Like, we haven't seen our women here in over 2 years, which is pretty crazy.
Might as well do a celebration because I won.
Yeah. Well, 100%. Like, this is, oh my gosh, I cannot stop talking about these women. It's absolutely incredible. Anyways, so they have a 2-game set. First game in Ottawa, which they already played, and then the second game in Montreal on the 26th, I believe, as well, right when the MLB World Series begins. I'll be watching the women's team, to be honest with you, not the MLB, I don't think. Maybe I'll have them both on the TV. Yeah, we'll do that. Anyway,
I'm probably going to be watching the World Series.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's on One Soccer.
Huh?
The Women's National Celebration Tour, it's on One Soccer. So it's unfortunately not on cable.
Oh, okay. But so I'll still be watching
it's
the
on
World
the
Series.
website. Yep. Listen, man, at least they're doing something.
Yeah.
Really.
No,
that's what I'm happy about. So, and I saw parts of the last game, actually. So I was, what was I doing yesterday? I went to go visit the Perez, and then the game was just about to finish, so I watched like the whole second half, and it was pretty good, man. It was pretty good. We ended up winning 5-1, but what I'm happy about the win, Christine Sinclair scored her 188th international goal, so just furthering her record.
Mm-hmm.
Jessie Fleming scored from the penalty spot, the first goal of the game, which is like how fitting because she scored 3 penalty goals in semifinals and finals for Canada to get us to the gold. And then Nichelle Prince scored the 3-0 goal, and then Adrian Leon scored 2 to make it 5-1 at the end. So it was a good performance. New Zealand is an exceptional team, but they're not a bad team. Like, it was like you had the women had to play hard to win those, and then it was nice to watch, man. Like, it was classic Canadian football. And then they just played really well. So I was really happy with the result.
Well, obviously they're not going to just like not play hard.
Yeah.
Against that team.
100%. But, like, for this celebration tour, like, who are the opponents you think they're going to, like, I don't think they're going to try and play against the States or against, I think the only team they wouldn't want to play against would be the States, just like, the States have dominated us for so long. But then again, we beat the States in the Olympics. Too, so that would be an intense match. I think, like, a celebration tour, you're trying to play, like, not the top opponent, just to go around the country, win some games, but also you're not going to play against frickin' Uganda.
Like, I guess, like, teams that you can, like, showcase, like, that they're good teams or good up-and-coming teams, just so that people can have eyes on them.
I'd love to have them play against, like, the Swedens, the Englands, like, Germanys and all that. I don't know. I think the U.S. games get so heated, so angry all the time that I wouldn't want to see it. I think we could beat them. We beat them in the semifinals to get to the finals, but I don't want to see them get injured.
Yeah,
Canada get injured. I don't care about the States.
No.
But I mean, yeah, 5-1 against a decent New Zealand team. That's nothing to complain about. They play the same New Zealand team on the 26th. And then no other games have officially been announced yet. But from what I do know is that they'll be playing in every major city in the country.
So are they coming here?
They should at some point. I have absolutely no idea. They haven't announced it yet. My belief is that they'll announce it after these two. Because you're also not going to play like 10 games at home in a row. I don't think FIFA will allow that. Which makes sense. Yeah, so if and when it comes to Edmonton, we got to go.
Just probably next year because winter's coming. So
yeah. Well, if and when it comes here, I mean, I can see them playing in BC Place in like January because it's indoor. It's an indoor roofed stadium, right?
True.
So it's like they can still play in Canada during the winter, but
only in BC. Only in Vancouver.
Only Vancouver. That's the only like roofed stadium. But Commonwealth is like one of the biggest in the country, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. So I mean, when it comes to Canada, we'll definitely have to go and watch. I'm hoping the opponent is like a good opponent, will make some good football. But at the end of the day, like, yeah, I just want to watch these women play, man. Like the pride and like.
Well, you did look up to them, so it would be awesome for you.
It would be huge. It would be awesome, man. Like this is. They won the first ever gold medal in soccer for Canada. Like, this is absolutely incredible, man. And I'm such a fanatic of soccer. So, it was pretty sweet. Yes,
you are.
It was pretty sweet to see. We didn't say we talk much about the men because if we're going to be honest, so Davies is nursing an injury right now. I think he played like 30 minutes in his first game back. And then he got subbed off because he was just dealing with an injury. From what I see, it's not necessarily anything to be like super worried about. But he's still nursing that injury. So I think Bayern Munich is taking care of him. I do believe he's going to play over the weekend. Jonathan David's Lille played as well in the Champions League. Not a huge result there. I'm pretty sure they tied 0-0. Not super impressive. And then Lauren came back from injury, Kyle Lauren. So that was a big thing because now we have more depth in striker. Hopefully he stays healthy for when they come here to Edmonton. And then Hutchinson's still not back. So that's the four main people that are in there. And then soon we'll be talking about Tajon Buchanan playing over in the Champions League in the UEFA Champions League because Club Brugge is in there. Hopefully they make it out of the group stage. But we'll see. It'll be good. Tajon will be playing over in Europe by January, so that's pretty exciting, honestly. And then last thing we're going to touch base on with soccer in this week's episode is the men's national team playing November 12th. November 16th, Costa Rica, Mexico, respectively, here in Edmonton. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, they're selling out fast. First day, like the pre-sale, they sold 13,000 tickets.
Holy crap.
13,000. And I think it's like 60,000 stadium.
And Edmonton is known for like hockey and football, but more hockey. But then to sell 13,000 in like the first day, it's pre-sale too, so...
Pre-sale, yeah.
It wasn't even like the normal sale.
So you and I, we have a group of 18 going, and getting those tickets was almost impossible.
I bet.
I called Ticketmaster. They're like, no, if it's not within 3 days, I'm not even talking to you. So then I emailed them, and nothing yet. Like, oh my gosh, dude, Ticketmaster is so useless, dude. It's so frustrating. But, anyways. That's all we're going to touch base on. If you guys want to go to the game, get your tickets now. Honestly, you're not going to be able to get in.
Too,
They're very affordable, dude. Like, oh my god.
Isn't the most expensive like $65?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And that's you can't get one of those tickets anymore. They're probably all sold out.
They're probably sold out.
It's all sold out.
But I guess the cheapest is probably like 20 or so.
Yeah. I think you can, honest to God, you can get into that stadium for like $15. Your beer is going to cost more than your ticket.
Oh, probably.
Seriously though. So if you can go, please go. It's going to be cold, but just wear toque, gloves.
Layer up.
Yeah, layer. I bought these really cool leather Canada gloves. It's like the maple leaf on it everywhere. It's white and red. It's so cool, dude. So I'm not going to be cold at all. I'm very excited for this.
I'm just probably going to laugh at you.
Probably, I don't care. I have a Canada mask. I'm going to get face paint. I got 2 flags. I got a scarf. I got toque.
So I'll definitely laugh at you.
Sweatpants, shirt, everything. But yeah, this is a game that you definitely want to watch. If you're not comfortable going out because of COVID, completely acceptable, totally understandable. Watch from home. this is going to be a game that you can watch from home very easily. And like, I highly recommend everybody watching this. Like, this is going to be the highest level of football that we're going to see here live in probably in the history of the city, if we're going to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
And these are two massive games. We talked about it in the All About Footy podcast with Daniel that I thought they were going to be, they're both must wins. If we win them both, then we have a very good chance of qualifying for the World Cup. But anyway, that's all we'll talk about soccer. Just get your ticket for those two games. They're relatively inexpensive. So if you can afford to go, then please, by all means, just do it. It's going to be an electric atmosphere, and we need as many Canadians there because Mexico is going to have a lot of fans there.
Oh yeah.
So we need to out cheer them.
We do have a big Latino community in Edmonton, so we're going to definitely see a lot of Mexicans or at least Latino supporters there. So we're going to need a lot of Canadian supporters there just to counteract them.
Yeah, just to balance them out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's all about soccer. I think. We'll talk more about it next week, or maybe another All About Footy show at another later date. But moving on to the NBA season, it finally started up, and it was it's been pretty sweet so far. The start of this season, if we're going to be honest, like not bad at all. Like so, the Raptors started the season 1-2. They lost their home opener. It was not actually really good at all, if you're going to be honest with you. And then they came back with like a very impressive win against the Celtics the other day. And then the next day on the second of back-to-backs, they lost by 8 points to the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks are a heck of a team.
Oh yeah.
I'm not really upset about that. Especially if I'm going to be honest, yeah. I honestly, Raptors for me, it's like anywhere between 8th and 11th is where they're going to finish.
Yeah, I think they will fight for a playoff spot. They're not like the team like a couple years ago, obviously, but I can see them trying to fight for a spot for sure.
Yeah, like you look at the team, man, like there's a lot of good teams out there right now in the East. Like you got like the Bulls stepped up quite a bit. The Pacers have usually been a good team. The Celtics are usually a good team. The Knicks were surprising last year. The Bucks, the Nets, the Heat, the Hawks, the 76ers. Like the Raptors are one of the best coached teams in the NBA. They have a lot of young, rising talent. I think the Barnes kid that they drafted 4th overall is going to be a big star, but we're still missing a superstar on that team. We won the NBA championship with one superstar in Kawhi Leonard. And then and a tremendous supporting cast.
Yes, I was just going to say.
Lowry.
Siakam
played unreal. Van Vliet was exceptional. We had Gasol and Ibaka playing like absolute superstars the whole time. Mm-hmm. But we have that tremendous supporting cast. We don't have that one bona fide superstar yet. Barnes, maybe he could be it. Maybe. I don't think so. I think he's going to be another one of our incredibly good supporting cast players. But I also don't think the Raptors finish low enough in the standings this year to where they're pretty much guaranteed the first overall pick or anything like that to get a superstar. So
yeah, they're too good to be last.
Yeah,
so.
But they're not good enough to
be like,
to win it yet quite yet.
Yeah,
so we'll see. I trust in this team, in the management group and everything. I do believe that they'll be able to do well.
Yeah, season just started too, so
yeah,
we'll see.
We'll see
what happens.
And then a couple Canadians playing across the league. So I mean, there's a lot of Canadians in the NBA now, which is absolutely incredible. Like, man, I couldn't even remember. I think Olynyk has been one of the bigger names for so long too, right? And do you remember the Bennett kid? The Bennett guy, like the first overall pick from years back? Man, too bad he didn't work out, hey? Just too bad. I mean, he went to the Cavs, so it makes sense at some point.
Even Wiggins was like huge for us when he got drafted, and then he's
tailed off a little bit.
Yeah,
although I'm glad you brought him up because he tailed off a little bit, but he's actually rejuvenating his career a little bit in Golden State right now. Like until Klay Thompson comes back, which I don't actually know when that is quite yet. He's going to be the starter. He's going to be one of the starting shooting guard of that team. Like the first game of the season, he played in like 20-some minutes, so like about half the game. Second game, he played just over 31 minutes, I think. So it wasn't bad.
We'll see, yeah.
Honestly, and another Canadian, actually, a Canadian playing on a Canadian team, Boucher. Chris Boucher, in my opinion, he can turn into a genuine star in this league, and that's what the Raptors are going to need because they need a center, man. They need somebody who can play the center, I think that's the number 5, if I'm not mistaken, or number 1. Anywho, they need somebody who can play the center role, get those rebounds and everything. And I watched like about half the Boston game and parts of the Dallas game. He was getting a lot of rebounds. Like him and Anunoby are just monsters on that in the paint. So Boucher is just so skinny, dude. So he just needs to bulk up a little bit, get some muscle, and just push everybody out of the way. But yeah, and then like you got the typical the Olynyk. I don't even know where he is right now, but I do know he's playing. He was in Boston for a while, then Miami, and he's just well traversed, I guess. And
a journeyman.
Yeah. And then Jamal Murray, man, but he's not back yet from injury. He won't be for a while. But his Denver Nuggets already started 2-0. They're only better with Jamal Murray in the lineup. So if he gets back in time for playoffs, watch out for Denver, man. That's going to be a team to look out for sure. And I think for the first time in a very long time, the East is going to be the absolute beast of the league, the harder conference, because you have like Milwaukee Bucks, the defending champions, Brooklyn Nets, who just bought everyone they could possibly get, except the Kyrie Irving situation there is kind of a little bit of a joke.
Yeah.
But he's a flat earther, so I really couldn't care less about him. The Hawks are a good team. 76ers in the Simmons situation, that's pretty nuts, hey? So, yeah, and there's listen to all these teams, okay? So you have the Chicago Bulls. Chicago Bulls, very strong team this year. They signed a lot. Caruso went over there. Ball, I hate the dad, but Ball is a heck of a player still.
But the Suns are good.
Yeah, right. Then you have Boston 0-2 start, but I don't think they're a bad team. I don't think they're a bottom of the East team. No. They just had a rough start. And then after that, you have Washington. I don't think they're that good of a team. I think Washington and Boston will switch. The Knicks, they were a playoff team last year. They were 5th. So, yeah, or 4th, sorry. Yeah, I think they're going to go far. The Charlotte Hornets, like a young team, up-and-coming team, I think they'll be half decent. Bucks, obviously. Nets. The Heat Nets. Stacked up. They have to be one of the favorites to win the whole thing. Hawks, 76ers. Unreal teams. And then in the West, you got the Golden State Warriors, where our homie Andrew Wiggins plays. They should be pretty decent, especially if Klay Thompson comes back. They should be one of the contenders for sure, in my opinion. They're still a deep team. They still have a majority of those pieces.
Yeah. They still have basically their team, so they're still going to be a good team to definitely make it to the playoffs.
The Suns, that's going to be a decent team. They made it to the final last year. The Clippers are also a good team. The Oklahoma City Thunder is a young team, but they should be decent. But then, really, I mean, the Nuggets, Dallas is an okay team. Yeah, that's where most of the teams are, man. Like, the Jazz are going to be a good team, too. Like, I think the West is not as strong as the East this year. Let's just put it that way. And didn't DeRozan go to the Bulls as well? I'm pretty sure he did.
I think so, yeah.
Anyways.
Like now there's a lot of parity in the league. Yeah. Not like before, which it was like LA, Golden State, Bucks, and that's it.
Yeah.
Now it's just like everyone is very good now.
A lot of good teams. Could not agree more. More. So
it'll be an interesting season.
It will be a very interesting season. Again, I'm thinking I almost said the Jays. I'm thinking the Raptors are going to be in like the 8th to 10th spot. Their coaching is just too good to be anywhere less than that. Really. They're a good young team. Like they
need the players.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you win at the end with your superstars, and they don't have one yet, in my opinion. So, anywho, so moving on from the NBA, we're going to talk about the NFL. There's obviously no Canadian teams in the NFL.
Obviously.
But we've made a point of focusing on 2 specific offensive players. We have this really good defensive back playing in the league as well. But like nothing against defensive players, but it's not as flashy. So I think we're just gonna keep on focusing on Hubbard and Claypool for now, and then we'll look into the other guys in the league as well. They're big names, but Claypool had a monster game the other day, hey? Like, he had, 100-plus yards, like almost double-digit receptions, like, huge game. And he had over half of the receiving yards of the team. So he had a couple big plays. Again, we've mentioned this numerous times in this podcast. Like, Claypool is only going to do as good as his quarterback does. And right now, his quarterback is not good right now. And it pains me to say, because Big Ben, again, I'll say it again, is one of the better quarterbacks of his generation. And I believe he should be a Hall of Famer. However, not right now, not great.
So Claypool did play really well against the Broncos, but he, for what he played versus the Seahawks, he only had 2 receptions for 17 yards, so 8.5 average. So it's still what he played against the Seahawks. Still pretty good. Like, his longest reception was like 12 yards, so still decent. Just he did have a monster game against the Broncos. He did have a good game against the Seahawks, but for how many he played, yeah.
Again, he only got 2 catches.
Yeah.
Like, how many? He probably got thrown the ball like 2 or 3 times.
Probably, yeah.
It's like, actually probably more, because Roethlisberger can't really throw the ball very well right now. Again, it's all really dependent on Big Ben.
Yes.
Completely. And it sucks because that's the skill positions are really dependent on their quarterback. We're going to be honest with you. So, you know what? Not the end of the world. And then Chuba Hubbard. So, Chuba Hubbard, he played the other week. Not big yards. So, 2 weeks ago, I think is what it was. He put up some big numbers. Like, really nice numbers.
24 carries for 101 yards. That's very good.
And then... Yeah, and then right after that, he didn't have a huge game. He only got like 60-something yards. But he got
61 yards for 16 carries.
Yeah, and his first career NFL touchdown.
Yeah.
That is huge. Yeah. That is a big moment, man.
I saw that play like so many times on YouTube and on Twitter. It was just so happy to see that a local guy just making the NFL and then just getting his first touchdown.
Yeah.
In the same season. It's just awesome. Awesome to see.
So McCaffrey is supposed to be out this week and next week as well. So Hubbard has 2 more chances of really cementing himself in there as like a good back. He's never going to take
I was going to say he's not going to take his
That's
McCaffrey
not
spot.
happening.
No.
However, the Carolina Panthers are a lethal team if they have a 2-back system.
Oh, definitely.
They showed it last year with their 2-back system that they won so many games near the end there, and this team can be a very, very, very good team with this 2-back system. So if Hubbard goes in there and shows, and then if you really think about it, if it's 2 of them, most people are going to focus on McCaffrey, and then that will give Hubbard a better chance of making big plays. So, yeah, Hubbard is playing quite well. I think the more experience he gets, obviously the better. I think he's only going to improve. He's still young. He's not being overused right now, so that's not going to necessarily risk him too much in his for the rest of his career. But this was a smart draft pick by the Panthers, man. A really smart draft pick by the Panthers. Obviously super biased, but he's a hell of a player. He is a dual threat running back, and that's, in my opinion, apart from Derrick Henry, who is a monstrosity of a mammoth, I genuinely think that's the way that the NFL is moving towards. You have the dual threat quarterback, the dual threat running back. Like, how much more difficult is it to defend against those guys? Again, Derrick Henry is just showing different.
Like, I saw like a stat somewhere where the top 5 yard leaders in the NFL right now, Derrick Henry first, obviously, and then Derrick Henry after contact was second, and then I think it was like Nick Chubb or someone else, but it was just funny to see Derrick Henry first in yards, and then Derrick Henry after contact second. So it was just Derrick Henry is just he's just
a man of his own. But yeah, Chuba's never going to really get the after contact yards. He's going to outskill them and get away from the players. So yeah, I have faith. I believe Chuba's only going to get better.
Chuba's definitely going to get better.
Yeah, and then Carolina should should be decent up there. I don't know if they're a playoff team quite yet, if I'm going to be honest with you, but they should be getting up there. So
like their offense is definitely getting up there.
Yeah, and I think the Darnold trade was a very smart trade for them, honestly. I thought it was a very wise thing to do for that team. But
very like low key too.
Very much agree, yeah. So they're 3-3 right now. Good for third in the NFC South. That's a good NFC South. The Saints are always a good team. The Bucs are going to be a good team again. So we'll see how it goes, but you know what? They just have to play hard, man. That's really the only way they're going to do it. This week they're playing against the Giants, so that should be a win. The Giants are not a very good team, so they'll move up to 4-3 hopefully, and then just challenge for that wild card spot. I don't see them finishing first in the NFC South, but I do see them challenging. And then, you know what? Let's talk about one other Canadian player's team, and we haven't talked much about him, but he was pretty huge and instrumental in their championship Lombardi Trophy season. Laurent Duvernay-Tardif. Sorry, Dr. Laurent Duvernay-Tardif.
Forgot the doctor.
How insane is it that the Chiefs are being this bad right now?
Well, it's not his fault, but
no, it's not his fault at all. But Mahomes hasn't been sacked too often, so that's a good thing for them, right?
Yeah.
Listen, he got the joint award with Alphonso Davies 2 years ago, or was it last year?
Tardif.
Yeah, Tardif and Davies were co-winners of the Lou Marsh. Yeah. And you know what? We don't talk, like I said, at the beginning of this little segment, we said we don't really talk much about the defensive guys and like the non-skill players because it's not as flashy. But Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, what he did off the field, just absolutely. First off, you become a doctor, and oh my God, Derrick Henry just got a throwing touchdown. He can do everything. Sorry. Anyways, coming back to this against the Chiefs, so we're still on topic. But what he did off the field, man, he became a doctor while being an All-Pro left guard in the NFL. Which, you know what? Many people say the second most important position on the NFL field is the left guard, because that's who's protecting the quarterback's blind side. Did you not see the whole movie Blindside with who was it? Julia Roberts, was it? No, it wasn't Julia Roberts. No, Sandra Bullock. Sandra Bullock.
Yeah. I was like, not Julia Roberts.
Julia Roberts. Sandra Bullock, Blindside. Yeah. That movie taught me that the left guard is the most important position in football. But they get paid, man. They get paid. That is like the second highest earning position in the league.
Oh, yeah, because you're protecting the QB, like you said.
You're protecting your asset, your biggest asset in the quarterback. But, yeah, Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, man, what an absolute privilege to just have that man. I don't know if he's a starter. He probably lost his position a little bit last year with not playing because of COVID. But he didn't play because of COVID because he didn't want to play and he was scared. He went and worked in the emergency room out in Montreal, I think, or somewhere in Quebec. Like, how incredible is that? You're making oh my God, dude. You're
making so much
very
money,
well deserved
like,
Lou Marsh winner.
No, I am going back home and I'm gonna take care of everybody because of during COVID. That's just
and risking his own life at it too.
Right. And then just come back and just play some football.
Yeah. What a pleasure, man. That guy's just incredible. So, anyways, I think that's all we'll talk about in the NFL for this segment. Unless, do you want anything you want to add at all, or we really touched base on most of it.
Yeah.
It'll just be interesting to see the matchups this week. I'm pretty sure that
just keep tabs on Chuba and Chase.
Yeah, I mean Chase is on a bye week this week.
No.
And Chuba's playing right now, so I mean it's looking half decent, but we'll see how it goes. Next, as we mentioned, we'll talk about the MLB. So since the last time that we spoke directly of the MLB, a lot has happened. The first two rounds of the playoffs are now over, and we're at the World Series. Obviously, no Canadian team made it to the World Series. The Jays didn't even make the playoffs. They missed out by one game. And a team with a worse regular season record than them is in the finals. And I'm going to call that Canada's team now for 2 reasons, okay? Actually, for 3 reasons. 2 reasons. We'll go with 2 reasons. 1, Alex Anthopoulos is the GM of that team.
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't know much about baseball, Alex Anthopoulos was really the architect that led to the Blue Jays' 2015 run to the ALCS, like one game, I think, from making it to the World Series or whatnot, or two. So he was the architect, and he's Canadian from Montreal.
Oh, I actually did not know that.
Yeah, he started in 2000 as an intern for the Expos, and then just worked his way up. In 2003, I think he went over to the Jays as a scout, and worked his way up that way. He left the Jays in right after 2015. I think the Jays were a little pissed off that, first off, they only made it to this like one round away. I think they were pissed off with that because they gave up so many prospects. But anyways, I digress. And then from there, he went on to the Dodgers for 2 years, and then after the Dodgers, he went and signed for the Braves. So he's actually made the playoffs every year. His teams have made the playoffs every year since 2015. And in my opinion, making the playoffs in the MLB is a huge accomplishment. Because, like, not many teams make it.
Nope.
What is it, 8?
Yep.
8 teams in the end make it
total?
in the playoffs. 10 if you include the 2 wild cards.
Yeah.
But 8 teams make it in the end, which is absolutely incredible.
Out of, like, all those teams that are in the league,
that's really impressive.
Yeah.
And it's a full team that needs to make it in there, right? Because then you have, like, Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout. They haven't made the playoffs in what feels like decades. I'm pretty sure they made it recently in the last couple of years, or Trout did at least. But they have the best players in the league don't necessarily make the playoffs all the time, which is insane because it's just deep teams that are just well managed, and this is why it's impressive that Anthopoulos has made the postseason 5 years every year since 2015. So that's one, and two, they have 2 Canadians, one that's actually playing. Obviously, we've spoken about Soroka, or the Mike Soroka kid, multiple times. He's still out with an injury, unfortunately. He should be back next year, though. Hopefully, they heal it properly so he doesn't tear his Achilles for a 3rd time, because that would be horrific. And Freddie Freeman, man, I really want to see Freddie Freeman win. Even if he was American, I'd still want to see Freddie Freeman win. Like, that man, he was my very first ever fantasy pick in any sport. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
I picked him in my first round, like, 7-8 years ago in baseball. At that point, baseball. Yeah. So my first ever fantasy league was fantasy baseball because the bosses at Famoso.
That's a weird.
Okay, but here we go.
Weird,
so my bosses at
Famoso
had this like super league, and they just wouldn't shut up about it. I'm like, man, I want to join this league. It would be so cool to join. And they're like, Vic, do you want to join us in our fantasy baseball league? I'm like, I don't know much about baseball. He's like, you know what? If you join here, like you might be able to join hockey and football too. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll join baseball. I'm like, what's so hard? Like, baseball sucks. And I jokingly to them, like, it's not even a sport. Like, and these guys are fanatics at baseball. So I made the bet with Sean Good was the general manager and the owner at the time. And I made the bet. I'm like, Sean, all right, tell you what. I think I'm going to crush you in fantasy baseball. He's like, Vic, there's no way. 0 chance you come anywhere remote to beating me at all. I'm like, bet. I'll make you a bet. He's like, all right, what is it? I'm like, if you win, I call you like Master Good for a week, and I'll be your like personal servant or whatever you need at the restaurant, like whatever it is that you need. He's like, okay, easy win, 100%. I'm like, but if I win, I become manager of this restaurant for the day. He's like, done, deal. I finished 2nd that year. He finished 9th.
Oh yeah,
and he never lived up to his bet. So. Sean Good, if you're listening, I don't forget. But yeah, so he was I'm almost positive because it was Freddie Freeman was my first pick, and then Josh Donaldson was right after the 2nd round. I had a pretty good team that year. Nice. But I really like Freddie Freeman a lot. I think he plays with such class. He's an underrated, offensively gifted player, but really good defensively as well. And he's been in this league enough that it's like, man, okay, it's about time. Also, they're playing against the Astros. And so the 2 teams that were in the final for the AL and the ALCS were the Astros and the Red Sox. Both cheaters. Both teams have been accused, like, just horrific cheating in their last, like, it's embarrassing, man. Like, you know what? What sucks is that they're good teams, as you can tell. Like, they're still cheating in the MLB all the time. Let's not even kid ourselves, right? But they're just stupid enough to get caught. Anyways, there's, it just sucks. It sucks. For the rest of my life, I'm going to associate the Astros with cheating. even though they're a heck of a team, as is shown being right now. A former Blue Jays closer is Osuna, who plays for the Astros, and I think he's their closer as well. But it'll be an interesting series. My heart says Atlanta 4-2. My brain says Houston 4-2. I just think Houston's too deep of a team. But we'll see how it goes. I really want Anthopoulos to win his first pennant. I really want to see that happen. I'd love, because I don't think many Atlanta Braves have like won championships. It would be really cool to see, whereas half the Astros have. So yeah, I mean, what do you think is going to happen in the World Series?
I'm just gonna say Braves win it in 7. I'm just gonna say
7,
just 7.
Because I think it starts in Houston, right? I think Houston, because they have the better record, is going to go to the top, or is the home field advantage. Because they changed that recently. It used to be the winner of the All-Star game gets home field advantage, but now it's the better record overall. So, yeah, it's just nuts to see that like a team that didn't have as many wins as the Blue Jays is in there. And you know what's actually also very impressive for the Blue Jays season? They had all those wins, right? And they played in the hardest division in baseball by far.
Oh yeah, no.
So like the deepest, sorry, because like the Dodgers and the Giants are in the same division. Okay, they are both 106 and 107 win teams respectively. And then you get to the Jays division, the AL East. That was for me the deepest division in baseball. There's 491 plus win teams on that division, and then the garbage Orioles that were playing spoiler for us for a while, unfortunately. But this is the deepest division in baseball, and the fact that they still won 90 games where they played a good chunk of their season against the AL East, that's pretty impressive, man. That's pretty impressive. This Blue Jays team should be competing in the playoffs next year, in my opinion. I'm just hoping that they'll be able to re-sign. It looks like Simeon and Ray are going to test the free agent market. Yeah. But I still see that will be like there are players in the market that will be able to be good complementary guys to this team, and they can afford Ray and they can afford Simeon whatever they want, because they've said it themselves. Like we're willing to go to the property tax now, or property tax. What is it? They said that we're willing to go for the something luxury tax.
Oh, okay. I was like, I
property
can't.
Tax.
I was
what an idiot. Anyways, yeah, they're willing to go into the luxury tax area, so we'll see how that goes. I think that's all we'll talk about the MLB. For the next podcast, we'll talk about like how the series is going, what we saw, and we'll really focus in on Freddie Freeman's performance. He's really the only Canadian in there that's playing. So we'll see how that goes. Honestly, if the Soroka kid was in, I would have put them as favorites, because that kid is a legit number 2 starter in my opinion. So we'll see. So that goes. And then I mean you can't talk about Canada sports without talking about hockey. So as we mentioned, we're gonna go really in depth on hockey this week. We're gonna have one episode on just the West and one episode on just the East. But right now, most teams are either 4 or 5 games into the season. So nowhere near like a good chunk in. Oilers of past would have already been mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. But yeah, so like looking in, this is where the Canadian teams stand as of right now with their respective divisions, okay? If my computer would like to load.
I can start. So starting with the Central Division, Winnipeg is in 4th with a 2-2-1 record. I still think they're gonna definitely make top 3 in their division. It's just a slow start, I guess, for them.
And they also don't have Scheifele.
They also don't have Scheifele.
Scheifele has been suspended the first game, and then COVID protocol the next 4, from my understanding. So
but it's like we said, season's still young, so they still have lots of time. Going to the Pacific, Edmonton, 5-0. Do you think they're gonna get past the franchise record of 7? this year?
Well, let's see. Who are their next opponents? It's
next opponent
Philadelphia.
is Philadelphia.
Yeah, I think they should be able to beat Philadelphia. It's at home, too.
And then it's against some weaker teams, too, if I'm not mistaken. But they have a big break in between, though.
So our next game is Philadelphia. I think we can go 6-0.
Yeah.
Then it's away to Vancouver. So that, for me, that completely depends on how Vancouver comes out. Because I do think that is probably a game that we'll lose.
Against Vancouver?
In Vancouver. Away to Vancouver, yes. Because
but we were a very good away team, though.
You're absolutely right. But Vancouver playing their best hockey at home is a really tough team. And I wouldn't be, I think we can, obviously, I still think we can win. I don't think we're necessarily going to have to lose that game.
Yeah.
But I do think of the games, that is one of them that I'd be like, I wouldn't cry about losing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then Vancouver is playing 2 days before that against Philadelphia. So
we might be able to meet the record at least.
Yeah, and then after Vancouver, it's Seattle. So yeah, I definitely think that if we beat Vancouver, and I definitely think
And next is Vancouver, who's third in the division with a 3-2-1 record.
Yeah.
So, looking at it now, I think our prediction was fourth in the division.
I put Vancouver third.
Third? Yeah, it was third and fourth. So I think they could still finish up like that. They're still beating them in third. Then Calgary with a 2-1-1 record is fourth in the division. Still think they're not that good of a team, so compared to everyone else in the Pacific. So I think they're not gonna make it.
Yeah.
Then going into the East with the two Canadian teams, Toronto, who are fifth in the Atlantic with a 2-3-1 record. Very surprising, honestly, considering it's Toronto and it's hockey or Canada's team, apparently, but obviously not.
They are not Canada's team.
And then we'll go really in depth with this team because of how they've started. But Montreal last in their division with a 1-5-0 record.
And the one came yesterday.
So it's they could have been 0-6.
Sorry.
So.
Saturday the 23rd.
Yeah. But still, it's that was just really surprising how they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. Yeah. And then they start really, really poorly. But we'll see. Like we said, season's still young. So.
And then you also have Ottawa in seventh.
Oh, sorry.
So that's about where
Ottawa.
I thought they would.
I forgot about Ottawa.
But 2-3-1 record honestly isn't terrible.
Or 2-3-0.
Sorry, 2-3-0. Yeah. My apologies.
But still, they're still a young team, so.
I'm noticing right now Vancouver hasn't played a single home game yet. They're going to start a homestand right now, so.
Oh dang.
We'll see how they're doing, man. Their record is 3-2-1. It's pretty decent, but they've had a couple of really good games.
Yep.
I thought they played really well against Edmonton here. I honestly thought they deserved to win that game. They just outplayed us, but we found a way to win, thankfully. But then they've also played some just horrific games. So it's what Vancouver are you going to get, really? So
yeah.
It'll be interesting. I mean,
we will see.
We'll go more in depth into them and all that kind of stuff. But so I think we don't want to go too in depth, obviously, for this episode. But I do want to talk. I think we both want to really talk a little bit about. We're just going to talk a little bit about Connor McDavid. Okay. So he's starting the season off 13 points in 5 games. It's good. I mean, we're not going to sugarcoat it.
It's good for McDavid. Yeah. It's amazing for everyone else, but it's good for McDavid.
I'm not going to. I was going to say. We're not going to crown him anything right now and yet, but this is what we're starting to get used to for Connor McDavid. Okay, but he's 5 straight multi-point games. I think Gretzky had 7, and that's the Oilers' record for most multi-point games to start the season in a row.
Something like that, yeah.
So, and his 13 points in 5 games. Gretzky had 10 goals, 10 assists in 7 games to start his season. So McDavid needs 7 points in the next 2 games to tie Gretzky's point, which
could be possible.
Honestly, against Philadelphia, yeah, I think it is possible because that goaltending tandem right now and that defense isn't playing great. And then Vancouver can be a very high offensive game. So, listen, man, he's on pace for 213 points right now. Is it going to happen? Honestly, I really don't think so. I'm no. I mean, there are some Oilers fans out there that actually think it's going to happen. I'm more on the pessimistic side, but the big threshold that people are talking about right now, and they have been for a while, 150 points.
Yep, 150.
There's only, if I'm not mistaken, it's been done like 11 or 12 times in league history by 7 different players, or 6. It's a big deal. 150 points is a big deal, especially in today's hockey.
Yeah.
If Connor McDavid was playing in Wayne Gretzky's era, with the defenses, I mean, and I hate this argument, okay? I want to start by saying that. I hate this argument because they're 2 completely different eras. You train differently and all that kind of stuff. Like, McDavid wouldn't be as properly trained. And the same thing could be said about Gretzky. If Gretzky was playing in this era, how would he do? With his high hockey IQ, with his speed and everything, too. But with the training that McDavid gets and all that kind of stuff. So, take it with a grain of salt, right? But 150 points in a season that we're having right now, where you put so much emphasis on defense, that is unbelievable. Like, people, I've heard there's some people out there I think Calgary and Vancouver sports fans are starting to realize, okay, like McDavid is really, really good, but they're saying he's the best player since Crosby. Crosby's won more. Crosby's done more for his team. I think Crosby, as of right now, is a better leader. However, I honestly think Connor McDavid is the best player since Lemieux. What do you think about that?
Yep, I can see that, yep.
Like, I would put it, he's better, in my opinion, he's better than Yzerman, he's better than Yager, he's better than, I think Lemieux is, as for how good he was, I think Lemieux is the most underrated player in the history of the league.
Just all the injuries and stuff.
Yeah. He was huge guy, a big dude, and so skilled and so fast. But I digress. I think Connor McDavid is the best player to grace this league since Mario Lemieux.
No, I can see that.
Yeah. This what he's doing right now, we're just so privileged to be able to watch this live every day. I'm not missing a single hockey game this year. No. I've made the goal. I'm missing 1 or 2 because of the Canada soccer, like when we're going to watch.
Yeah, when we go. Yeah,
but he's what brings viewers to hockey right now.
And it sucks because the NHL isn't really doing anything to showcase Connor McDavid and his skill. It's like, oh, Toronto, oh, Crosby and Pittsburgh. Stuff like that, but they never really showcase the Oilers and McDavid, because they don't showcase their players like other sports leagues do. Like,
I completely
NFL
agree.
with Brady, NBA with Curry or James, or MLB with Guerrero and Ohtani. And then nothing in the NHL. Like, you barely see anything. Now they're showcasing more Oilers games in the States. Mm-hmm. Now they're starting to do something. But it's just not enough. Like, if you want hockey to grow, you have to showcase your best players.
Could not agree more.
But you're not showcasing the best player. Like, is it because it's Edmonton, maybe?
Probably.
But it just sucks, because I want hockey to grow. Everyone wants hockey to grow. But the NHL isn't really doing much to do that. Like soccer with like Messi, Ronaldo.
They just showcase them. Davies has posters across the entire country right now.
Right? And then it's just...
I could not agree more, and I also think the officiating has a lot to do with it, because they don't call all the penalties they can. I mean, if they called every penalty they could against McDavid, Oilers' power play could have like 15 chances. It's absurd how good this power play is right now. But again, we're getting more into depth a little bit later, or in this midweek episodes, we'll talk about that more. But, like, it's nuts. They genuinely don't do enough. And do you see those Zach Cassian's 2 latest penalties?
Oh my god, they were like the worst
They were the
calls
worst
ever. Like, what the heck?
And a 10-minute misconduct or what? Oh my god, dude, it was just brutal. But
I don't
it's
get
just
it.
nuts. Yeah, whatever, dude. We'll talk more about that later.
I don't get it.
So, one thing. So we're gonna finish off the NHL talk with talking about our fantasy teams.
Ooh, okay.
And so you guys know we had the draft. We released the draft 2 weeks ago now, and you'll notice if you watch the video, and you're gonna hear me draft Braden Point, but it's gonna say Jake Evans on the video. Now that's for 2 reasons. One,
yep.
Your homie Victor's an idiot.
I can't. Doesn't know what a salary cap is and just goes way over.
I was on my calculator. I guess I just didn't add one player, somebody in the $6 million range. I didn't add them. So whatever, dude. Man. Whatever. I just missed it. So I couldn't actually afford Braden Point, which honestly I'm not even upset about because he's really hasn't done much anyways. So I ended up drafting Jake Evans instead. So that leads to that confusion. So I think Celso and I were joking about having we're gonna do a segment about capping or cap with Victor, something like that, where
math
we talk about
Victor.
Math with Victor
stats
segment.
with Victor, so we can see how
what sucks
math
though?
Skills improve.
Genuinely, math was by far my strongest subject in high school, and junior high, and everything. Like it was so bad, dude. And you know me, I go gambling, blackjack. I can I have a very good memory with kind of stuff. So, but whatever, man. I couldn't remember the math for whatever reason.
Can't remember simple math.
I know simple math. Adding to 81.1 or 5. Like, come on. As I'm doing math right now, calculating my team's points. Anyways,
so I'll recap who I have on my team, and I'll give you the total points. We did go over the scoring in our previous episodes, where it was 2 points for a goal, 1 point for assist, 2 points for a power play point.
Shorthanded point.
And then for shorthanded, and 1 point for a
power play point.
Yes. And then for goalies, it was 3 points for a win, 1 point for an overtime loss, and then 5 points for a shutout. Anyway, so players I have on my team, because I was able to pick first. I picked McDavid, obviously, but then that just screwed over my whole drafting process because I had to.
Okay, but how many points does McDavid have?
I know, true, but still, I'm happy I have McDavid, but I'm still kind of I had to pick very cheap players throughout the rest of the draft. Yeah. Anyway, so I got McDavid, I got Zach Hyman, I got David Perron, Tyler Toffoli, Jordan Kyrou, Maxime Comtois, Nick Ritchie, my boy Nuge, Jason Spezza, Corey Perry, Gabriel Velarde, and then I went with the gamble of hoping when he comes back he's going to light it up with Sidney Crosby. He has me 0 points, but which makes sense because he's not playing yet. For defense, I got Shea Theodore, Tyson Barrie, Mackenzie Weegar, Vince Dunn, Ty Smith, Noah Dobson. And then for my goalies, I got Marc-Andre Fleury and Tristan Jarry. Unfortunately, Fleury isn't getting me any points because he's playing for Chicago, which I thought they were going to be good, but...
Still early, but
still. All those players total right now after 2 weeks or so of the regular season, 122 points.
Oh, you're beating me.
Am I? I thought I wasn't because I have a couple zeros.
Okay, yeah, I have 2 zeros too, but McDavid's start to this season, how many points does
McDavid has 26 points.
I don't have anybody more than 11. 12. 12 is my highest.
Okay, because I have Zach Hyman with 16, David Perron with 16, Jordan Kyrou with 12, and Nuge with 13.
Yeah. Yeah, Hyman, McDavid, those guys are winning this league for you right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's just the zeros then.
I have 2 zeros as well. Scheifele Evans /point.
/point, yeah.
Okay, so I have McKinnon with 8, Brad Marchand with 9, Huberto with 12, Suzuki with 2, Ryan Strome with 2, Verhaeghe with 8, Couturier with 9, McCann with 11, Mantha with 6, Stevenson with 6, Scheifele and Evans with 0, Riley with 4, Nurse with 5, Schultz with 3, Bouchard with 5, Drysdale with 6, Makar with 4. Goalies each have 6, Smith and Kemper.
So your goalies are doing good for you.
Yeah.
Not my goalies.
I mean, not really.
Tristan Jarry is
Smith was doing fantastic, then he's injured,
yeah.
so he's gone for a bit. Kemper is actually not doing very well. He's got a sub-900 save percentage right now.
Well, he's better than Flower. With his 7 mil
cap hit.
AAV, yeah.
Anyways. Okay, well, stay tuned. So in the midweek episodes, we're really going to go in depth on the East and the Western conferences. We'll do West first and then East second video. And then from there, there's obviously a lot of hockey to watch, a lot of basketball to watch. So the Canadian women's national team is playing again on the 26th. Lots of sports to watch right now if you're a sports fan. This is the golden moment for sports, really. Every North American major league is playing right now. So it's a fantastic time to be alive.
Well, one is ending, but
yeah, but they're all still playing.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you everybody for listening to this week's episode. Week 5 officially, if I'm not mistaken, 4 or 5.
Episode 5, yeah.
Yeah. So, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you later on this week.